Now, India's travel scene remarkable new heights with a booming economy.
Dreaming of your next vacation? Be it the pristine beaches of Goa, the snowy slopes of Manali, or the royal charm of Jaipur, Indian destinations have always been irresistible. But lately, there's a troubling question on every traveler's mind. Why is traveling within India burning a bigger hole in our pockets than ever before? In the 1970s and 80s, India, affordable yet rich in culture, was the ultimate paradise for backpackers and hippies. But fast forward to 2024, and the narrative has shifted from spiraling costs of hotels and flights to exorbitant taxes and rising cafe, restaurants, and local traveling prices. Wandering within India is no longer as budget friendly as it once was. Let's start with the numbers. A 4-night Goa package during the holiday season costs 1,22,284 rupees for two people, including flights. Compare that with a 6-night Bali package, which costs just 1,31,066 rupees. That's 6 days in Bali versus 4 in Goa. Hotels in Goa range from 4,700 rupees a night for a 3-star option to 16,000 rupees for a 4-star property. Luxury stays, like the Taj, soar up to 48,000 rupees a night. Flights alone costs anywhere between 9,000 and 27,000 rupees per person, depending on the season. In Bali, a comparable 4-star stay costs 4,000 to 14,000 rupees a night, and flights start at 27,000 rupees, offering better value for an international destination. So why are Indian destinations unable to match the affordability of international tourist hubs despite having similar offerings?
The two major things probably that really affects or ails this whole space is the GST, which is a high additional cost of around 18 to 20%, and availability of rooms. If somebody comes for a package of, let's say, 4 nights, 5 nights, or even 10 nights, the GST component is quite substantial. It's almost 20% of his overall cost of accommodation, which is much less in Sri Lanka or Vietnam or all these places. The problem is if we have more and more rooms available, that could bring down that cost, which could be an advantage.
Taxes play a crucial role in driving up costs. GST on luxury hotel rooms in India can go as high as 28%, and flight tickets come loaded with taxes and surcharges. By comparison, Vietnam charges a flat 5% VAT on hotels and dining, and Thailand caps VAT at 10%. In Vietnam, the VAT on hotels is a flat 5%, reduced from 10%. Meanwhile, India's GST on hotels is tiered: 12% for stays up to 1,000 rupees, 18% for 1,001 to 7,500 rupees, and a steep 28% for anything above that. Similarly, for dining out, Vietnam maintains a uniform 5% VAT, whereas India applies 5% to 18% depending on the restaurant type. This stark difference in tax rates translates into noticeable disparities in costs. For instance, a hotel stay in Da Nang, Vietnam costs 7,487 rupees, while a similar experience in Varanasi, India sets you back 19,680 rupees, more than double the expense. So how do India's tax policies impact the tourism sector's competitiveness?
The tax policy definitely has a bearing, at least the indirect tax policy definitely has a bearing on the overall cost of travel. The other issue with what the hospitality players sort of face is, while the regime speaks about a 7,500 room rent for deciding the tax that will apply, you and I both will appreciate that the room rentals vary based on off-season, season occupancy. Basically, players do face a challenge around levying GST. While the intent was good, but the compliance and the complexity involved in the GST law has been a sort of a deterrent for hospitality players at large, because you don't have a complete clarity around claiming of the ITC, which is the input tax credit. So basically, the intended benefit of GST is not getting passed on, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've still sort of failing to attract international tourists. Luxury travel, like I said, largely the issue is that the tax rates are very high, and it's intended to be so. At least that's how the GST law is framed that they're wanting to tax luxury items at a higher rate. And at least our counterparts don't see it that way because they are largely tourism driven. While we've clubbed all the taxes into one tax, similarly the staggered rates and especially the higher rates need to go away for it to be more streamlined. And once the staggered rates go away, the compliance burden will also be easier. Another issue is majority tourism plays other than hospitality sector, other than the hotels, are maybe MSMEs or smaller players. So some relaxations around those will also be helpful.
In Bali, you can stay at a 4-star hotel for 4,000 to 14,000 per night, less than comparable accommodations in Goa or Jaipur. Even flight prices, starting at 27,000 rupees, are competitive for an international getaway. In countries like Thailand, better infrastructure, competitive pricing, and government incentives make travel more affordable. Public transport is efficient and hotels cater to all budgets. Meanwhile, India's focus often leans towards luxury tourism, leaving budget travelers underserved. High taxes not only discourage domestic tourists but also deter foreign travelers. When destinations like Thailand and Indonesia offer better affordability, why would travelers choose India? The tourism real estate market in India has seen an unprecedented boom. Land prices in hotspots like Goa and Jaipur have skyrocketed, driven by wealthy investors and the rising demand for luxury tourism. This has triggered a domino effect. Hotels and resorts, burdened by soaring property prices, have little choice but to pass these costs on to travelers. This makes even mid-tier accommodations unaffordable for the average tourist. To make matters worse, the focus on high-end real estate often sidelines budget travelers, further narrowing the options for affordable stays. Flying within India is often costlier than flying abroad. Why? High fuel taxes, steep airport charges, and limited competition on key domestic routes. Indian domestic flight prices are notorious for their volatility, often spiking to international levels during peak seasons. During peak seasons, fares to Goa or Jaipur often exceed international flights to Bali or Dubai. Airlines attribute this to fluctuating fuel prices, limited flight slots, and high demand during the holiday rush.
In terms of airfares, I think we've suffered lately because of some of the airlines getting shut down. I think that has really taken tourism for a little bit of a spin. Other than peak days, there is no real problem as such, because if you see all connections, Bombay-Delhi connections, ranging from 5 to 10,000 on peak days, it may go up high. And if you look at very busy days, like tourist-friendly days, like year-end or festivals or vacation, the same kind of surge fares you see even at the other international destinations also. So I think one is if we can work on the connections, internal connections, more connections, more flights operating, I think that would help. Because having said that, if fares were really a problem, you must take note that domestic travel has been at the peak in the last 6-7 years, or it's been like never seen before. People within India are traveling a lot.
The Indian government has set an ambitious target of attracting 100 million foreign tourists by 2047. While this sounds impressive, consider this. France alone attracted 90 million tourists in 2019, and Spain welcomed 85 million in 2023. In 2023, India recorded 9.24 million foreign tourist arrivals, a 43.5% growth from 2022. Yet, this figure is far below global benchmarks. Foreign tourists contributed 2.3 trillion rupees in foreign exchange earnings, but this pales in comparison to the booming numbers seen in destinations like Dubai. While Dubai recorded a 16.7 million peak in tourist arrivals in 2019 and has continued to grow, India's tourist numbers have actually declined by 10% compared to the same period. The reasons? Red tape, lack of promotion, and concerns over pollution and cleanliness, all issues we simply refuse to confront. So what lessons can India learn from destinations like France, Spain, and Dubai to attract more foreign tourists?
I think one of the things that we've started doing is, trying to make it visa free or visa on arrival. But really speaking, the amount of the visa being free really cannot be a big game changer. maybe visa on arrivals can be a game changer. Secondly, on destinations like Dubai, etc., they have brought in a lot more reforms, Dubai or even many of the other Gulf countries, because they never saw tourists or the potential of tourism in this manner. So therefore, they have really rolled out the red carpet. What India definitely can do, taking a leaf out of the European countries, is actually, increase the value of its offerings. I think we have way more things to offer, except for the fact that the awareness of tourism being a real economic driver has to come up.
In 2019, tourism contributed 6.9% to India's GDP, amounting to 17.43 trillion rupees or $211.1 billion US, with 39.79 million jobs supported. However, the pandemic severely impacted this sector, leading to a GDP contraction of 41.6% in 2020. Fast forward to 2023, and signs of recovery are evident. The tourism sector now contributes 6.5% to GDP, totaling 19.13 trillion rupees, with employment figures climbing back to 42.94 million. Projections for 2024 show further growth, with GDP contributions expected to reach 21.15 trillion rupees and job numbers rising to 45.39 million. If India is to achieve its target of 100 million foreign tourists by 2047, systemic changes are crucial. Lowering GST rates, stabilizing airfare costs, and improving infrastructure should be top priorities. How can India replicate successful tourism models while leveraging its unique cultural and natural diversity?
In India, we will be today at about 180 to 2 lakh, numbers of rooms. I think if those can be added at a quick pace, just the way we have developed our road networks across in the last 5 years, if we can, augment our policies and, really implement ease of doing business and number of hotels increase, then I'm sure we'll have way more number of rooms available for tourists as and when they grow.
India has everything it needs to become a global tourism hub: rich culture, diverse landscapes, and a booming middle class. The question is, are we willing to address the barriers holding us back?